It's always been me, the author of all your pain.
Hello, Vicky here again, and welcome to this week's edition of the Bond Room Unlocked, whereby I'll be inviting you to turn the key with me on my 26-year-old Bond collection and, spoiler alert, the brother angle of Spectre from 2015. Spectre, Bond's last instalment before the release of No Time to Die in a matter of months, is a bone of contention amongst the Bond community. You either love it or you hate it. But what is it about this film that divides fans? The return of Daniel Craig? Bond girl Léa Seydoux? Or the lacklustre car chase in Rome? I think it's more likely Blofeld's brotherly connection to James Bond that swings it.
Thank you for asking me for my opinion on the stepbrother angle in Spectre. I don't like the angle they're using on this. I mean, in the past, all we ever know about is James's parents died when he was young in a climbing accident. And we never knew anything of this.
Locked in a battle over character rights, Danjaq and MGM ensnared free rein in 2006 to use all remaining characters and story rights on the back of Kevin McClory's copyright dispute. Now, Blofeld and Spectre first featured in Ian Fleming's novel Thunderball in 1961 and has been featured in various guises from 1963's From Russia with Love through to Diamonds Are Forever in 1971. He's considered Bond's most formidable enemy and of course had to be the one character that needed to return to a modern audience. Now, Waltz may seem an unlikely choice to play Blofeld, but as we have recently seen, producers seem to favour Oscar winners to play Bond villains. Javier Bardem was an inspired choice to play Raoul Silva in the film Skyfall in 2012 and was one of the best things about the film for me. And of course, on the back of his Bohemian Rhapsody Oscar, Rami Malek is set to play enemy Safin in No Time to Die. Having won 2 Best Supporting Actor Oscars, one for his role as Hans Lando in Glorious Bastards in 2009 and then bounty hunter King Schultz in Django Unchained in 2012, you can see why producers and casting agents were desperate to get Waltz on board.
Gentlemen, I have no intention of killing Hitler and killing Goebbels and killing Goering and killing Bormann, not to mention winning the war single-handedly for the Allies, only later to find myself standing before a Jewish tribunal. If you want to win the war tonight, we have to make a deal.
What kind of deal?
The kind you wouldn't have the authority to make. However, I'm sure this mission of yours has a commanding officer. A general. I'm betting for OSS would be my guess. Ooh, that's a bingo!
Such a great performance in that role. So why did fans feel that Waltz was wasted as Blofeld and that the plot just didn't work?
Does the brother aspect work in Spectre? I'm afraid it doesn't. First reason is the chemistry between Bond and Blofeld.
So fans think there is a lack of chemistry. Is this between the 2 lead actors? Or is it in the writing? Could Waltz really have been the psychological tormentor to all the events that have happened in Daniel Craig's Bond's 4 films?
Second reason, Blofeld himself. He's too much of a developed and established character in the books and novels to simply serve as brother of Bond.
So did adding in this big twist really work? To be honest with you, if we think about it, it's obvious. It's all in the title, Spectre. And Bond fans know that the leader of Spectre is Ernst Stavros Blofeld. So there's nothing cuckoo about that, is there? This was supposed to be a best kept secret, and it doesn't really come as a shock. And for new fans of the franchise, they wouldn't really give two hoots about the past. So does hiding all of this for most of the film work? Amalan seems to think so.
Hello, Amalan here. As I mentioned in my first appearance, one of my favourite Bond movies is Spectre. One element of the movie which gets a lot of criticism is the foster brother angle between Bond and Blofeld. Personally, I think it is a very good twist to the storyline. Initially, the character is seen as Franz Oberhauser, the son of Hans Oberhauser, who took Bond in after he lost his parents. Over time, Franz gets very jealous of Bond as Hans treats him like his own son, and then Franz ends up killing Hans. And when he explains all that to Bond and then finally reveals himself as Blofeld, that's when I thought, oh my god, that this is quite a twist. And I do think there is a bit of a build-up to it, which is one of the things I like about it.
The Spectre meeting, which is a real nod to past Bond films, it's very authentic and it's very formulaic. It has the Spectre agents round the table. You've got the henchman lurking in the form of Mr. Hinks, played by David Bautista, and then Blofeld, the shadowy figure, who is brilliantly lit at the table by a shaft of light pointing towards him, head of Spectre.
Welcome, James. It's been a long time. And finally, here we are. What took you so long? Cuckoo.
Now, in keeping with our theme of Spectre, the piece of merchandise that I want to share with you today is this newly restored edition of the 1960s James Bond comic strips published by Titan Books that came out in 2015. The comic strips featured in British newspapers from 1958. Now, Fleming was reluctant to have his writings in comic strip form, but eventually he agreed, and Bond's story had 52 arcs from 1958 to 1983. This is a real nice addition to any Bond collection and highlights the brilliant talents of artist Jon McCluskey.
I think if you look at the way Blofeld came into the movies, and then when on You Only Live Twice, when Sean was going after Ernest Averill Blofeld, then when Your Honour Majesty's Secret Service in 1969, when George portrayed James, he was adamant he was going after Blofeld. Okay, he lost Tracy at the end. And then in Diamonds Are Forever, when Sean came back, you know, nothing seems to add up about being stepbrothers. Even for the short scene in For Your Eyes Only in 1981, Blofeld was at the beginning, but nothing really carried on. It just seems now in Daniel's portrayal of James Bond, why would they now come to say that Hit's his stepbrother? I can't see how this angle is working. Maybe in future films it may progress further. Christopher Watts played a good Ernest Stavro Blofeld, but I don't like the angle of the way they are portraying this. I think it should be left as it was.
Sam Mendes and his writing team wanted to modernise Blofeld and bring him right up to date. He said it was going to be tricky to revive a character with so much Bond history. He didn't want to follow the path of previous incarnations and felt that the character needed to be more real.
I think one problem with it was that it wasn't really kept as secret as it should have been, which does take away a little bit of the element of surprise from the reveal.
Yes, and how many of us Bond fans really knew that Walt was playing Blofeld? There were social media whispers that had got round the Bond community that he may have been returning. What did you think of the stepbrother angle? Leave me a comment after the video. Did it work for you? The purpose of this channel is to take the items in this Bond room and relate them to the films that we know and love. If you have enjoyed this brief look at Spectre and Blofeld, then please give it an MI6 stamp of approval and click on the notifications below. Why not subscribe so you don't miss any further missions? You can also find the Bond Room Unlocked on Facebook and on Instagram, and catch me co-hosting on SpyMovieNavigator.com, cracking the code of spy movies with Tom Pizzato and Dan Silvestri. We'll be looking at the new movie Black Widow as a non-spoiler alert review soon, so stay in tune for that. I'd like to say a big thank you to Alf, Jon and Amalan for their varied views on Spectre.
Hello, this is Alf Hausman from Cleves in Germany. Thank you for having me on the Bond Room Unlocked.
Thank you for the invite, Victoria, and thank you for accepting me on the page for Bond.
Once again, I'd like to thank Vicky for having me on the show. Stay safe and take good care of yourselves.
And I'd like to thank you for supporting me and joining me at the Bond Room Unlocked. Till next time.
Finish it.
Out of bullets.